Hello, allies. It is Monday, November 11th, 2019, and here is your Cup of Jones. Good morning, everybody. A happy week to you all. We are again in November. It is not October, but we are doing the best that we can. Getting closer to the holidays. Kind of a, not really a specifically eventful episode of Cup of Jones. It's just another week in the year, another week making a lot of reviews. What is definitely special about Easy Allies is Box Peak. If you've missed it, Box Peak Season 2 has begun last Friday. We'll talk a little bit about Box Peak today. Talk a little bit about our advertising, actually, at Box Peak. As I mentioned, one of our comments was like, Box Peak just popped up out of nowhere. So we'll talk about what our plans are for Box Peak. New episode, 11 a.m. Pacific, this Friday. This season is unexpected. The season will go places you're not expecting. I'm very excited to see reactions for this season of, and kudos, obviously, to my wonderful wife for all of her. Box Peak was gone for so long that I definitely had a dissociation between Amanda and Jordy. You know, like I would see Jordy so many times, to see Jordy art and be like, yeah, Jordy's great. And then like Amanda would be excited about Box Peak. And I'm like, oh, you're Jordy. Right. I don't know if you could tell, speaking of Box Peak, I've added a little Box Peak art to the set, just trying to flavor up the Cup of Jones set a little bit. We did something that nobody brought up in comments, but I want to talk really quickly about because the comments on YouTube and the comments on Patreon are really great, but we did a hashtag 12 is alive. Thank you, Screaming Argonaut. Sat down with Michael Huber for a conversation about Ghost Recon Breakpoint last week, and we've had a very strange year for reviews and not doing reviews on certain games because of personal issues or other conflicts with other games. And Huber had a very interesting journey with Ghost Recon Breakpoint. It was fascinating that I think Huber wound up in his like late 30s or 40s in terms of like gear level to the point where he was finally like, I don't think I'm going to have time to play this game, where I'm currently sitting at like gear level 235 or something. Like I just could not stop playing Ghost Recon Breakpoint. It was just a really great game to fit into my lifestyle, to be right in the middle of going through a stealth base. And then Amanda's like, can I have your help with something? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Like I'll put the controller down. I don't care. Like this base isn't like, even when I was doing story missions, like the whole thing isn't hinging on my progress right now. So it's just a really easy game to pick up and put down. And a fascinating fascinating discourse around Ghost Recon Breakpoint. And it'll be a really interesting game to follow moving forward. I don't know if we're going to do more videos, but I think we've done conversations like this in the past. One of the big things was I captured a lot of footage for Ghost Recon Breakpoint on my PlayStation 4. So all of the footage that you see is 1080p, but is recorded in the compression settings on your, that are not necessarily default. I think I did turn those up, but on your PlayStation 4. So all those clips were just waiting for me. I had to, take them off with a USB drive. And was able to not only put a lot of my stuff in there, but you have Huber footage, you have my footage, and all of that is labeled. Even if you're not interested in Ghost Recon Breakpoint, some of that footage is pretty funny because I ran into a bunch of really fun glitches. There are glitches I didn't even show in that video that I also found because it's just like... And there was one glitch, it's actually in the thumbnail, where like my character model popped out of the helicopter. So Huber's flying this helicopter, and at one point my character model was like sitting behind the helicopter, and then I zoomed in front of the helicopter. And Huber's just rotating the camera around. We didn't have our headsets on, so we were just kind of slacking to each other back and forth about what we were going to do. And that's kind of the game that Breakpoint is. I was like, Huber, just do what you need to do, and I will follow you and take down anybody that I think has got a shot on you or something. And so I didn't know that even that glitch was happening, a very fortunate glitch, and I didn't even think to tell Blood to make that into the thumbnail. And I love that Blood, posted that in Slack. He's like, "There's your thumbnail right there." But a lot of people just expressed interest in the format. A lot of people say like, this is great. I really like this. Obviously, we don't want to do something like that in lieu of a review. If that person plans to do the review, we don't want to double down on a video. I think there's a really nice blend between a review going up and then a week, 2 weeks, sometimes 4 weeks after that, that person getting to sit down with Ben, and then Ben really picking their brain about how that game was on Frametrap. And this kind of sits outside of that. I also did have a Ghost Recon Breakpoint conversation on Frametrap, but as Huber was the one who was assigned to review it, and Huber was the other ally who was playing a significant amount of Breakpoint along with myself. It was nice to sit down and talk with him about that. So 30-minute video, check it out if you're interested, but just thanks to everybody that said nice things about it. So if we find ourselves in that situation again, which I'm certain we are going to be in the review season in autumn, as I'm being told to call it by my international friends. I say fall, and some people around the world are like, fall? What the hell's fall? In autumn of 2020, in Q4 2020, we will do one of those Breakpoint videos again. And I'll also shout out to Daniel Bloodworth for coming up with the title, The Breaking Point. Which, as obvious as that seems, I hadn't thought of that. Some people asked about it specifically. I will read out the question that asks. I'll do it right now. Brandon K. Gann, you love him, I love him. If Xbox is having a presentation of some sort for X19, November 14th through 16, will EZA do any reactions for it, despite the poor track record of the events having a lack of noteworthy news? We will. This Thursday morning, we will be gathering together. I will not be there. Shout out to all of the allies that will be there to suffer through another Inside Xbox for the little small grains of sand of announcements and gameplay updates and interviews and stuff like that. And that's it. There's not a lot. BoxPeak is really the big thing right now. We do have some other stuff that we were planning before the end of the year, but Blood says, hopefully not that situation, meaning that, we move on to other reviews and then get tired of it. But and Blood says, I've been wanting to do more vids like that, so I'm glad people liked it. And we did talk about also ways that we can evolve our, it's something that we've constantly been talking about. And I'm telling you, once you get into review season, you don't have a ton of wiggle room. You really just got to go to just try to get as many reviews done as you possibly can. And on top of, everything else that we're doing. And so, it's nice to have options like that, and we're exploring more options like that we can do things outside of the traditional format, again, like I said, of doing reviews and Frame Trap, and streams as well is another great example of covering a game, something like Medieval, that remaster. We did review it, but we also did stream it, and so if we didn't have time for review, that stream would hopefully serve as our opinions on that game. But lots of stuff to talk about. Lots of reviews still left to do. Big month, Pokemon. Hello, Pokemon incoming. I'm probably going to be playing a Pokemon game instead of a Star Wars game. How about that? I'm probably going to be like, look, Fallen Order, I really want to put time into you, but I got to catch. I don't even know the names. What's the sheep name? Everyone's going to let me know. But big month, and a couple fun things coming out in December. And it's that time of year I have one more thing to say at the top, but it's that time of year to look at January, to really think about GOTYs and look at the beginning of next year. What do we want to do? Time to book that venue for the anniversary in March, time to really think about 2020 and start to plan ahead so that we don't come back from the holidays. And we're like, all right, here we go. Oh, too late to plan for that or think about that. One other thing I wanted to mention is I looked on my list of everyone that is going to be involved in the community showcase, and Kyle Bossman is next. And I reached out to Kyle and I said, Kyle, December 2019 showcase, are you down? And he said, sure. And I looked out, and Blitz says, we generally can't talk about embargoes before the embargo. I don't know if that was based on something I said or, Wooloo. There we go. Wooloo's the sheep. Got to go catch me a Wooloo. I cannot start Fallen Order until I catch a Wooloo. So for people who like to know, spread the word. I will be mentioning that on streams and stuff like that. Silver Squad, I'm going to try to remember to say that on Thursday. But for people that like that information as far in advance as possible, Kyle Bossman will be on the couch, barring any last minute scheduling personal conflicts. And I will do my best to lock down the person for January, because it's always nice at the end of a showcase to let people know who's going to be on the next one, because people like to write songs for people. People like to draw pictures of people, make drawings. So there we go. All right, let's look at the schedule. Boop. Cup of Jones, you're watching it. Frame Trap, Luigi's Mansion 3 multiplayer is our group stream game tomorrow night. And we have had, I don't think it wasn't Luigi's Mansion. It was like Nintendo Land, right? That weird Luigi's Mansion-esque, like ghost hunting Pac-Man adjacent minigame that we played. I think we did that at a previous, might have just been a group stream, but I thought that was like an Easy Living game or something. And then I just love these just giant blocks of purple. Look at that. You got a lot of Twitch going on. Majora's Mask continuing. Deadly Premonition continuing with Ian and Dawn. X19 reactions, as I mentioned. XO19. Weekly Hunts is back. Pokemon Silver's back. The Silver Squad. And then Friday, so you not only Box Peak, but the dual line, the red and the purple, which is nice. Box Peak plus the Q&A. And if you are, I'm sure you're probably going to watch all of the episodes and all the Q&As, but Amanda Troop will be joining Kyle Bossman who, if you remember, plays Geordi, along with pretty much every other woman on that show. And she will be sitting down with Kyle and after the final episode to talk about the season, and it'll be really interesting. I look forward to those because I'm curious what she thinks generally about the season, and it's going to be fun. Just that first episode was like, right, I did the VO for this a long time ago. It was funny. We actually changed microphones in the cause of Box Peak. Amanda had a child in between seasons. A lot's happened. But it was interesting. We recorded some pickups and I sent them to Kyle, and Kyle was like, did we get a new mic? And I'm like, oh yeah, we got a new mic. This is the mic that we recorded the original Box Peak stuff on. But I'm like, yeah, we got a new mic in the booth. And he was like, oh, it sounds so much better. He's like, it's a little weird actually. I got to like make it, because I had to make the other stuff sound better, and just plopping those clips into the sequence sound as good as the stuff that I had to do a lot of work on. Ice Age and Jumanji, I believe it's like Scrat's Adventure or something for Ice Age, should be a jolly. I love that Ice Age isn't good enough to hold a 2-hour Kyle Bossman stream. He's got to throw Jumanji in there, and of course our podcast this weekend. Easy Update and the Easy Allies podcast, which you can enjoy. There we go. Business questions. A very stressful question right at the top. Cheers, everybody. Dennis M. Something that I need help with. Can you please activate the DVR function on YouTube again when you go live for Cup of Jones? The function was turned off the last couple of weeks. I have no idea where this is. Kyle streams for like 7 hours. He does. As I said 2 hours, I realized it's a lot more than that. I have no idea where that setting is. I have looked through YouTube exhaustively for the letters DVR. And not only is there's not a setting. Basically what it means is if you tune into Cup of Jones and it's live, you can't go back. You can't like rewind Cup of Jones. You have to watch it live, and then you have to watch the archive later on when it's done. Yeah, it does work for old episodes. It just doesn't work like while I'm actually recording. So it records like, and then allows that for playback while the episode is actually live. I have no idea where that setting is. I looked into, I really like Blood brought it up, and I was like, okay, cool, I'll turn that on. And then like the next week I was like, okay, whoa, weird, I don't see it anyway. And then went live, and then he brought it up again. He was like, people were complaining again, it wasn't in there. I'm like, I looked for it, but I'll look again. And the next episode, I'm not even kidding, I spent a half an hour like going through. There's like advanced settings, advanced settings. Like there's a whole like new live studio thing that opens up that seems way more like about the Q&A, or is that, it defaulted to all the Q&A settings, and I was like, whoa, I don't want to change the Q&A stuff. So like I'll look it up. If you guys have like a screenshot or something, you can email me, Brandon at Easy Allies. I'd greatly appreciate it. I literally have tried on multiple occasions to try to find that setting. So I apologize to anybody that inconveniences, but no idea. And now that I'm past that question, people can't go back and hear me answer it. Megan Linhart, do you ever get scared when you have to do a review of a heavily anticipated game? The Death Stranding reviews really showed me what it's like to see so much toxicity and hatred amongst the gaming community. It honestly makes me question to even bother writing a positive comment on a video in anticipation of being made fun of or questioned for my opinion. I couldn't even imagine what that could be like for Easy A. Do these anxieties ever happen to you when reviewing a game of high anticipation? Totally. Every time. I mean, every time a review goes live, it's like, I think one of the things that I actually have anxiety about more than my opinions being wrong, because like, hey, we barf out opinions all the time, podcasts on, streams and stuff like that. So it's like, I think we're generally used to people disagreeing, with our opinions. What I get really nervous about with reviews, especially a review that is hitting embargo, so it's like I can't talk to anybody about this game, is making a definitive statement about something that is in the game or is not in the game. So one example was I just reviewed Cat Quest 2, and I was surprised that there's no flying. You could fly in the original game, and it was just like a really nice gift at the end of Cat Quest 1 to be like, oh, nice. I don't have to worry about like walking around mountains or, I can walk across water, but it just like, it was so quick to just zoom, finish all the quests I haven't finished, just scan the environment to find the dungeons that I haven't done. And I was like, there's no flying, bummer. And I'm like, let me double check, because this game has been out for a while. It launched on Apple Arcade. It's on other consoles. Like, let me check and see. Garbage truck. I don't know if you can hear it. And I couldn't find, there's just not a lot of information about Cat Quest 2. Not a lot of people are talking about it, surprisingly. And so I was like putting up that review, and I'm like, God, this would really suck if I'm wrong. If there's just like some dungeon I missed or some item that I missed. And so that can get very nerve-wracking. But Megan, you hint on two things that I don't talk about a lot. One, I don't realize and think about enough, and really can process and completely understand the perspective of our viewers, people who watch our videos and then want to engage in Twitch chat, want to engage in YouTube comments, want to engage on Patreon. Hopefully Patreon is a cozy place where people can. It's mostly people that want to support us. Hopefully people don't. I have seen arguments brewing on Patreon, but hopefully it's a little more of a safe haven for toxicity, and just in terms of comments, especially when people are brewing to say things about brimming, I guess, to say things about games that they have not yet played. But yeah, I was not surprised to see the discourse around Death Stranding, which brings me to my other point, which is I don't read YouTube comments on my reviews like almost ever, because I'm kind of done at that point. Like if I've really erred, you know, I have enough people supporting me in the community that know how to contact me, that can reach out and point out like, hey, this was wrong, by the way, or this is weird, or this title was weird. You know, sometimes something just not necessarily factually will be incorrect, but sometimes like a title will be wrong, or some graphic thing will be weird. And it's like, well, as long as we put up the video, might as well just keep it up. But I think actually, Megan, I am more nervous about Trailer Jones than other things. When I did the top 100 trailers of all time, man, some of those picks, people were incensed, really, really, really angry. That infamous Deus Ex Mankind Divided trailer. Everyone's like, that Mankind Divided trailer. I hate that trailer. It's just it's a really predictable kind of. It's a really great piece of music. It's a really great piece of music, and the cinematics that are in that first trailer are beautiful. Beautiful cinematics. Really great piece of music. Everything else with the trailer is just really kind of subpar for me. It's just like a very average trailer. The titles are very predictable. Blah blah blah. I made a Trailer Academy about it. You can go back. Probably, actually, no, I think it's gone. Never mind. Haha, my opinions are erased from the internet. But whenever I put up a Trailer Jones, I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna be, you know, potentially taking a crap on someone's opinions about some trailer, or maybe focusing way more on a trailer than they think I should. You know, like a lot of times when I get upset about trailers, people are like, Jones, it's a trailer. And it's like, well, you can say that about anything. Jones, it's a game. Jones, it's a baby. Jones, it's life. It's like, great. So then we don't say anything about anything. How wonderful. We don't need to have opinions about anything in life, because all life is relative. Obviously, some of us care about some things more than other things, and we want to talk about it. So almost every single time I hit publish on a Trailer Jones, I'm like, So, yeah, scared might be a little too intense. I don't know if I'd call it scared. Maybe just nervous. Get a little bit of anxiety there. But for reviews, I don't think the anticipation of the game weighs into how scared I am. Obviously I can't speak for the rest of the allies, the other 5 allies that write reviews, but I think embargoes can be scary, because you have no opportunity to connect really with anybody beyond people that you might know, outside of the industry that are also checking games out. And in that sense, you don't really want to get a vibe on what they think about the game. You just kind of want to check in and just like, am I tripping? This thing doesn't work. Is it? A lot of times it's worth checking out, reaching out to people for online, because it's like, this feature isn't working for me. Is it not working for you? Because I just want to make sure that it's not just my dumb issue that I'm having with my internet and is actually an issue with the game. JChrist08, would you guys ever consider joining any other media platforms? Floatplane is one that I use, and I think it might be a really good fit for you guys. Floatplane. First of all, JChrist01 clearly works for Floatplane. Second of all, I checked out Floatplane, and one thing that bums me out about Floatplane, correct me if I'm wrong, you can't just go check it out. You got to sign up. And so I went to Floatplane. I was like, all right, let's watch some videos. Let's see how this works. And it's like, sign up. I'm like, I don't know what it is. Let me watch one video and then decide if I want to sign up or not. So that was a bummer. It was just going to the Floatplane website, and it's just like, no, you got to give us your email address. I'm like, I don't want to get spam from you, Floatplane. But I'm curious. Yeah. And I think one thing, this also factors into the Instagram conversation that we've had, where we're just like super stubborn and dumb about Instagram. But jumping onto a new format is kind of a double-edged sword. Oh, Blood sent me screenshots of the DVR setting in both the new studio and in Classic. I just want you to note that Blood could have just said he sent me screenshots of the DVR setting. Screenshots meaning multiple screenshots to help me. But I love that in both the new studio and in Classic, meaning I know Blood thinks he's being helpful, and he is being helpful. Blood is a very helpful person. But to specifically mention that in chat where everybody else can see it is such a wonderful little dose of Blood shade that Blood will never understand. It's just it's Blood's own vintage of shade. But just that I sent you screenshots of the DVR setting in both the studio and in Classic. Okay, Blood. All right. I couldn't find it in either, but you could find it in how long have we been going? 20 minutes. Okay, Blood. Just kidding. Smug Blood. So good. Easy as Smug Blood. I say it because I love the man, because the man is here to back me up. None of you sent me screenshots, and check my email. I'm not going to get screenshots from any of you, but Blood's backing me up. Morgan Mohala, would you be willing to, but yeah, I checked out Floatplane. I'll bring it up with the guys. Morgan Mohala, would you be willing to provide more resourceful information with your reviews? This could include estimates for time to complete the game, associated satellite content, as seen with Final Fantasy 15. Satellite content. Price at launch, number of players, console availability, console exclusive content, console exclusive issues, etc. This could be included in the description for YouTube videos so that it does not alter the consistency or integrity of your content. Maybe. We have a lot of information in our YouTube description. We got a lot of stuff on there. And I think one of the biggest things why we would be reserved for doing this is this information might change. You know what I mean? Like, this might evolve. And then if you see a video, it's like, well, we published the video. But if you have text, Blood says, I just sent both because YouTube makes live streaming too confusing and there's too many ways to do it. I know, you're helping me, Blood. I just want to point out. And so if that information changes after the fact and you read it in the description, it's like, why wouldn't they change the text? Why wouldn't they go back and change that because that mode is taken out now or they added a mode? You know what I mean? There's so much, especially for stuff like Destiny and Division, like these games that are just like Fortnite, they're constantly getting updated, that a lot of that information necessarily wouldn't be consistent from, week to week to week. But there's Easy A Jones Shade for sure. I definitely have my own version of Shade. So I think we're good. I don't think we're gonna, there potentially could be more information that we could add to that. But a lot of that information is out there, and it kind of makes me think of like news, how we don't necessarily have like a news show. Like, there's some things that I think are done better by other resources on the internet. And as much as I would love to be a one-stop shop, as much as I would love to like really like compete with IGN and have 500 employees, there's only so many of us. There's only so much we can do, and so I don't necessarily want our review to be like, now you're done. Like, you don't have to go anywhere else. You got all of your information. You got your editorial opinion. You're set. I definitely want you to go out and watch other reviews. I definitely want you to go do research and find all of that information. Parasite Paladin, since now you have spent some time with your team in Pokemon Silver, I would like you to reconsider bringing at least your battle team Pokemon with you into the future. This just crosses the line into a business question. Kyle mentioned that there is a way to bring your Pokemon into Sun and Moon, meaning we are emulating Pokemon Silver, but there is a way, even though it is a ROM, to get the information out of Pokemon Silver and put it into Sword or Shield. I think I'm playing Shield. And would love to see TikTok, Joey, Ruth, and the rest be a part of your new adventures, even if you don't use them. Them just being ROM data on the Easy A PC, never to be seen again, is very depressing. Also, did you ever bring your Pokemon from Red into Sun and Moon? No, I've never done it. And I don't think I will. I sympathize, Parasite Paladin. I'm sorry that, you're like, it just makes me so sad that those Pokemon are just stuck. But it's like, that's true of all your games, like every adventure. If you play Dragon Age Inquisition, all of those characters are sitting there in the code, just waiting. You can't bring them into other games. It's a weird thing. I think one of the reasons why it's been fascinating for me to explore the world of Pokemon, and hopefully is entertaining for you, for us to have these conversations, and that is, I don't get the process of like I know a lot of people are complaining about the national dex for like the new game, but like, it's weird for me to contextualize the lore behind these Pokemon going to someone else. Like, it'd be one thing if the protagonist, and I know people are like, you're seriously lore, like, debating like the mechanics of like weird Pokemon games. I am. It'd be one thing if like the protagonist of Silver, it being a sequel to Red, knew the protagonist from Red. Like, they were friends. Like, the game started and he's like on the phone with him, like, hey, what's up, buddy? Wow, that was a cool adventure. I'm about to go on my adventure. Click. Then it would be like, oh yeah, he sent him his favorite Pokemon. He was like, if you're going to go on that adventure, take my Pokemon. But you saying that, knowing that, TikTok, Joey, Ruth are just going to sit there on that ROM, and that makes me sad. Well, if TikTok, Joey, and Ruth just showed up in Pokemon Shield, that makes no sense. Like, I'm like, so does the character in Silver not have them anymore? Like, did I steal them from him? did he like upload them to his PC and then like I hacked it? Like it's weird. And it, considering how many new Pokemon there are, considering how little I know about the Pokemon universe and how much I want to focus on new Pokemon, like, and how much it seems kind of like work, you know, to process all of this stuff. You got to like take them here, put them there, take them off of there, put them over there, then put them into your PC. Like, it's just like, I'm good. You know, when I start a new Pokemon game, there's a whole world of joy awaiting for me. And I've never felt, not for a moment did I, going through Pokemon Sun and Moon, was I like, I need Johnny. You know, I was like, I had a great time with Johnny. Johnny kicked ass. Johnny got me through Pokemon Red. Johnny lit that entire game on fire. I love Johnny. I will always respect Johnny. But, you know, if I'm going through a new game, I want to get a new, like, even Pokemon Go. Like, I didn't name my, you know, that's a lie. I might have. But, you know, I want to think of those as other characters that have other Pokemon. I want the world to be big. I want the world of Pokemon to be big. I don't want everyone having the same experience over and over and over. Which I know might make you want to scratch your head, might make you want to flip the table. But that's just my weird. I'm here to play Pokemon and be weird doing it. Alexander Zarianov. During the early days of Easy Allies, you were saving gameplay capture for use in community comments. Since then, community comments transformed into Community Showcase, and other shows that use games footage, like Top 10, have also faded away. Do you still keep gameplay captures after you're done with the game's review? Definitely. Sometimes use that for GOTYs when we make GOTY videos. Sometimes those will pop up for some reason. Sometimes those are good to use. We have our little magic windows. We call them magic windows. In the streaming room, we got our windows that have gameplay on the side, and you never know, you might be able to grab something out of gameplay clips, or it's nice to have, and especially having done this for 17 years, it's nice to know you have that footage if you need it. So we have, as far as I know, a 3-tier backup system. You have the individual ally who is reviewing the game. They might back stuff up. Johnny Respect is a good name. Johnny, you call me Johnny Respect. Bloodworth said that. I didn't just shout that out. So you have the ally who is reviewing that game. They might keep the footage for themselves. I don't know. Then you have our shared server that we all put our footage up on and transfer all the stuff in between allies. A lot of stuff can live on there for an extended period of time. And then personally, any reviews that I edit, I also back up. I got the drive over here that I would show you, but it's plugged into my PC right now. That I every now and then, like usually after a month or two of cutting reviews, will then clear off my PC and dump all of that footage onto a drive. And it's just nice to have. It's very rare that I've dipped in there, but it's like insurance, you know, it's just nice to have that stuff just in case you need it. Because doing game trailers for as many years as we did, there were definitely times where it's like, oh, do we have that game? And like, no, we don't. Like, all right. Like, I think Blood replayed Eternal Darkness like 8 times. And it's just nice to have that footage. Snowcone Guy. I'm writing about your video reviews and the score at the end. I often miss it and have to rewind the video to see it. Sometimes I have the review open on one side of the screen and more or less just listen to it while I do other stuff on the other half of the screen. Brutal. All that time I take to pick the right shot, to really, you know, it's like you got the gaming, you got the writer's opinion, you got my VO on top of it, but then you got the gameplay footage that really just drives the point home. You know, you see all those 3 elements come together like the Triforce. And he's just listening to him. Brutal. And sometimes I don't look at it on purpose to avoid visual spoilers. I know that I have to wait until what you say is the final summary, then look at the video when you stop talking, but I often miss it. So if you consider improving the situation, I have 2 suggestions. 1, read the score out loud. No, never. Not non-talking point. Number 2, having a clear audio cue, a little jingle to play right before the score pops up. You used to have a very clear cue back in the game trailers days. Bloop. Remember, like the little ball went up into the pinball machine, into the big giant switch, and then it made a thing. But one of the big differences is, and I prefer our format now, is when the review ended, that was it. The music stopped. Or sometimes maybe the music would keep going. Sometimes if an editor was feeling creative, you put a little audio cue in there. So he's talking about maybe just like a whoosh, you know, like when the score whoosh appears. Before the score popped up, there was a short animation of a pinball machine with a unique and recognizable jingle playing. Maybe this could be taken into consideration if you plan to bump up the production value of the review animations in the future, or it could be just a small acoustic cue that you add to the current format. There isn't a sound effect, but I do, I cannot speak for Don Casanova and Ian, but I do try to at least have that score be revealed on a beat of the music. So I do try to find a fun da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, you know, and it's like, ta-da, there's the score. Or at least have the music change, like when you see that score. So, and a couple people in chat are like, well, you know, the score pops up when Jones stops talking, but a lot of times we'll play the music. You know, if I stop talking, that could easily be a transition into, you know, some other thing. But, and I will never read the score out loud because I think that'll sound stupid. You know, can you imagine that? Just like, and that's why this game is pretty nifty. 7.0. It's just dumb. Like, and I try to be like a friend of yours when I read reviews. You know, I try to be somebody that you're like, oh, you know, this guy isn't like ranting at me. This is a pretty neutral tone. So, you know, I'm curious what the next thing he's going to say, or like how he generally feels about that. He seemed a little, you know, slightly frustrated about that or slightly happy about that. And then like, if I just drop a number, it just kind of like turns me into a robot. It's kind of like I'm Siri all of a sudden. And so it's just weird. I think tonally to me, it seems incongruous with the VO read that I'm doing. And this very particular setup that you have of listening to reviews and not watching them, I think this is a byproduct of. I think this is just something that you're going to have to, unfortunately, deal with, because I could maybe bring up with the crew. Curious if Blood doesn't seem to have an opinion on it, but he hasn't said anything in chat. Yeah, I mean, again, you know, we might do graphic overhauls. There are still some things at Easy Allies I would like new graphics on. Reviews, I think, are great. I don't want to do... I think the reviews, the graphics at game trailers were too much. I think there was too much going on. Every time we redid graphics, it was just like, and then this thing happens, and then this is over here, and then that, and it's like, just, I want to get to the review. Stop. You know, like our review intros were like 15 seconds long, and it's just like, that was like a point at Easy Allies when we created our review graphics. It's like, can it please just say Easy Allies reviews and then wipe? Can we just get into it? So that was nice. But, you know, if we change in the future, I will bring that up. I will be like, sound effect? That is what I will say. Joseph LaRussa, the last 2 episodes have mentioned Huber possibly or possibly not reviewing Shenmue 3 because he backed it. This is a popular topic. We mentioned it 2 weeks ago. Somebody asked about it last week, and then we're talking about it again. Why does that matter? What's the difference between Huber buying it at launch, like many prominent critics like Jim Sterling and Colin Moriarty, and backing it on Kickstarter? If it's a matter of money, I pose the same question, and buying a collector's or special edition. In fact, I think an argument could be made that Huber backing it is better and less of a conflict of interest because you weren't given an item, the game, for free. What are your thoughts? I have said many thoughts. I'm just, you know, you're asking me to kind of rephrase the stuff that I've already talked about, but Death Stranding review is currently at 195,000 views, says Bloodworth. Thank you, Bloodworth. And Uzi Suicide is going to watch it 5,000 times today. Uzi, I really appreciate you making that sacrifice. It's just a matter... I mean, you have to admit, Joseph, that Huber and Shenmue 3 is a special relationship. That is a ally to game relationship unlike any ally to game relationship that we have ever had. And I think that's kind of the point. It's like, not only is he obviously infatuated with it, not only is this like a dream come true for him, but he does have a significant financial investment in the game as well on top of all of that. And so it wasn't something where it's like, this is going to be a major problem. This is going to be a big fire we're going to have to put out when Shenmue 3 launches. It's just something that we want to be aware of. You know, it's just something that we want to know. And I posed it as an editorial because I was curious what everyone else thought, their general opinions. And, you know, there wasn't a lot of people that raised their hand and said, yes, I see that as a major breach of contract. I think that's a major issue that you have to apologize for. But it's also, and I also brought this up, this example up last week of me and Disney. Like, I'm a gigantic Disney fan. I've been a Disney pass holder for many, many years. And so obviously there's some kind of Disney product. I'm a big Star Wars fan. So you would think like I might be a little biased, like when, you know, I'm reviewing a Star Wars game. I think it's just when you have, you know, that kind of attachment to something plus a financial investment on top of that, it doesn't necessarily mean, like you say, why does that matter? It might not matter. That's why it's a question that comes up. You know, that's why we're like, does it matter? Where are we going to be when we get to that point and review it? And I brought it up specifically on Cup of Jones because we got the hardcore allies that are here, the hardcore patrons that listen or watch Cup of Jones each week. You know, that might be, if we don't review Shenmue 3, you'd ask why. You know, everyone in the community would be like, wait, whoa, why? It would make sense that Huber would review Shenmue 3. He might not feel comfortable doing that. I don't know. So it just brings up that this is a unique case. And it might feel like we've been doing Easy Allies forever, but we are only 3.5 years old, and so we are still encountering issues editorially and production-wise and stuff like that raise interesting questions that we haven't faced before. So that's mostly why it was brought up. Carl Williams, I have a business question. Given that The Mandalorian will be a weekly show, will the Allies be doing a weekly Twitch stream to discuss each episode, a la like you guys did for Game of Thrones Season 8 and One Punch Man Season 2? Or will you guys wait until the first season is done to do a spoiler mode? Probably spoiler mode, and I'll explain why. I realize this is a last-minute question, given that by the time you read this, Disney Plus will launch tomorrow. But I know you guys are big Star Wars fans, and I figured I would ask. We'll probably just do a spoiler mode after the fact because it's over the holidays. So even if we start it now, there are episodes that will be going when we're not, some of us might not be in town or just around each other or just on vacation, frankly. So even if we were to do that, which would be fun, and I did think about it, I was like, ooh, I would love to sit Brad down. Also just to like figure it out. I would love to just, live stream that and have chat be like, did you notice this? Did you notice IG88 talk to this person? And be like, I didn't, I don't want to really dig into the internet too much and have this weird fan speculation go out of control. But it is fun to have people, especially people that are tuning in for a specific spoilery conversation about an episode of television, to get their takes and some fun details, or just even like conversation points that they bring up. But I would like to do a spoiler mode for it in January. That's not a promise, because I don't know, we're going to be doing goatees and all sorts of crazy stuff at the beginning of the year. But if we have time, we will do it. Asbo Zapruder. Okay, but like seriously, if Phase 4 of Easy Allies went into the Wicket business, would it join the Elks or join the Shriners? Or do you think you'd rather be a member of the Diners? See, it doesn't work, Asbo, if it rhymes. Then you can really tell it's a lyric. Also, none of those work. We would clearly wear a golden key. But when it rhymes, it doesn't hit. It doesn't sound like a natural. It doesn't read like a natural Cup of Jones question. So see if you can avoid the rhymes in the future. You had me at Elks and Shriners. You had it. Jesse Blue, regarding the monthly Q&A, I've been watching some of the newer small group streams, and though I'm glad the Allies interact with chat, what is the benefit of having the monthly Q&A? We had this question a couple weeks ago, as a tier when anyone can ask anything anytime during chat for free, and there's a good chance your question will be answered if you ask it enough. Is there a good chance? I don't know. Again, that's another perspective that our audience has that I cannot have, because I don't leave comments in chat expecting for that to be responded. If I'm not on a stream and I talk in chat, I'm not talking to the Allies. I'm talking to chat. You say there's a good chance. I don't think there's a good of a chance as you are, as you think there is. There's also, when we're on group streams, not a guarantee. I mean, there's not a guarantee in the Q&A that we're all going to be there either, but there's not a guarantee that we're all going to weigh in on that. There's not a guarantee that there is the game. Like, there is something in the room that is distracting us. I guarantee, even if you get a good conversation going around some topic, at least half of the Allies on a group stream are not listening to that conversation at all. They're focused on the game. And so that's kind of the point of the Q&A, is that you have us. Like, you have us together. You have us to all talk about something. I have a lot of wonderful memories, and I've learned a lot of really great, crazy things from the Allies, working with them over the years on podcasts and stuff like that. There's nothing like the Q&A. The Q&A is its own special breeding ground of weird Ally memories, that, weird stories. You're just like, Damiani did what? Like, that's kind of what's special about the Q&A. But it is, it is a question that's come up before, and it is something that we did talk about when we were planning for Phase 4. It's something that we talked about back in January. Anytime we're kind of reevaluating all the shows and the tiers that we have, the reward tiers specifically on Patreon, that raises the question, like, should we still do Q&A? Should Q&A evolve into something else? But we all dig doing it, and I love the questions. I love the conversations. Like I said, I love learning new stuff about the Allies every time we do it. Sven Van Latham, the launch of Season 2 of Box Peak was abrupt and not advertised at all. What a shame. It was advertised. We put up a trailer. What a shame. Thoughts? Random ideas that would have been free. Free is in caps. Free. Last Tuesday group stream, you guys could have rewatched Season 1 together live. We didn't do that on the group stream, but we did watch Season 1. We did stream Season 1. Kyle streamed that. Tweet, Facebook, YouTube community. Watch Season 1 of Box Peak now before Season 2. An easy update with Kyle about Box Peak Season 1 and his hopes for Season 2. All of those are good ideas. We did stream all of Season 1. We did put up a trailer. But This is one of those tricky things because I hate to like dismiss questions on Cup of Jones. I hate to be like, oh, well, that doesn't necessarily concern me, so I don't have to answer it. Obviously, we want as many people as possible to get eyeballs on Box Peak. But the thing you have to understand is that is Kyle Bossman's show. Box Peak is a gift that Kyle Bossman gives the other 8 allies. Kyle's like, I've been in my apartment and working on this thing, and here you go, everybody. And we're like, this is incredible. It's really great writing. Obviously, all of us have voice acted on it, but that is a sliver of a percentage of work compared to all of the stuff that Kyle has done. So Kyle is free to do anything he wants to with that show. Kyle's free to launch it when he wants to I offered to cut the trailer. He wanted to put the trailer together himself. I still want to cut a trailer that's not just a season 2 trailer, but kind of like an overall Box Peak trailer. We didn't, he really didn't want, the episodes are short, so he really didn't want to spoil anything outside. I think we showed like 1 or 2 new shots of season 2, a couple new lines of dialogue in that trailer, but he really didn't want to show that stuff. As a creator like Kyle, I respect, creator's intent. I respect how he wants, to premiere Box Peak, how he wants to communicate about Box Peak. That being said, once Box Peak season 2 is getting close near the end of the run of the season, I want to do something that we've never done in the history of Easy Allies. And again, I'll bring this up with the rest of the crew. I'm curious, outside of the wonderful points that Sven Van Lathan brought up, of ways that we can get the word out, ways that we can get more views on Box Peak, ways that we can get more people involved in the show. And one of those is actually spending money, something we have never done, spending money on actually advertising Box Peak, actually like making ads on YouTube so we can get, potentially even boost it on a Facebook or a Twitter. Because I think that not only is Box Peak a wonderful show, not only is it getting less views than we had expected, less views than I think it deserves. But it'd be an interesting experiment to try to do that. Maybe just like set aside a little bit of money. Again, we have yet to really kind of finalize the budget for November and December before the end of the year. But I think that would be fun once it's all up to then say, okay, we have this 10 episodes. It's basically a movie. You can watch this animated film that Kyle Bossman has made. And we have a lot of content, to create a fun trailer that doesn't necessarily spoil all the craziest moments, and then potentially get that as a pre-roll or something that we send out there. Pay influencers to talk about it, Holy Angel MX suggests. Great. Get Box Peak on the Figueroa. Yeah, Box Peak billboards is something that I'm looking into. I'll give you updates more on that later. But I get it, Sven. I understand that can be frustrating. I think a lot of times, we just straight up will post something. We don't necessarily give a lot of people a lead up time to that. But it kind of also factors into the actual production of Box Peak. I actually finally was able to help Kyle with a couple things production-wise on Box Peak. And I was like, yay! Like, I was actually there when he hit the record button on the camera to work on something with him. And I was like, this never happened in season 1. He was so resistant to any help. We were all like, please, we would love to go over if you need any help editing or sound design or any. He was like, nope, I am going to do all of it. And we respected his wishes. We respect his wishes when he's launching stuff. I don't mean to throw him under the bus by being like, yes, we advertised Box Peak poorly. It's all Kyle's fault. But it's his show, it's his baby. And so I'm not only, want to respect his wishes in terms of all of the creative decisions that he wants to make around the show, but seeing how the world embraces Box Peak, seeing how we create something like that I think more than almost anything else that we've done in the history of Easy Allies really stands outside. I can just show Box Peak to anybody. I think I can really just stop any random person on the street and just give them Box Peak and be like, I think you'll like this. I think you'll get a kick out of it. You don't need to know any of us. You don't need to know anything about video games. You don't need to know, it's fun to see like kids with their own like fan made Box Peak shirts. Like, and so that it's an interesting thing to see how much traction Box Peak will get, how much growth it'll get over time, how season 2 will perform as opposed to season 1. And everything that you're saying, Sven, these are all good lessons. These are all good things to know. These are all good things to explore moving forward if we want to do something that creatively, I think, stands on its own. Box Peak in Fortnite, says Chris Snow. That's a wonderful idea. I really want to make some kind of Box Peak thing in Dreams, but it's hard. Modeling characters is tough in Dreams. There is a Box Peak game in Dreams, but it's 2-player, and I have yet to play Dreams with another person. So maybe I'll grab Kyle someday and we'll play that Dreams game. Pete the Duck. Shout out to Pete the Duck. First time in my memory on Cup of Jones. What's up, Pete? Just curious if changing what day the podcast released increased how many people were in the early access tier on Patreon. The switch is the reason I joined because I like to start my weekend at 5 p.m. on Friday with the podcast during my ride home. Also, I would be interested in anything else you might want to share in terms of viewership numbers or unexpected outcomes from the change. Or maybe it wasn't a big deal at all and nothing significant happened. It was a big deal. There were significant changes, but it was kind of an equilibrium. Like some things went up, some things went down, some people changed tiers, some people dropped tiers, some people left Patreon, some people joined. So Blood might just jump into the comments, and it might be worth an editorial in the future to talk about maybe when the year is over, or maybe several months after Phase 4, once Prison of Love launches, and once we get through all of the goals together, we RPG and everything, to be like, okay, post mortem on Phase 4. Here's all the stuff that we talked about.